What's up, humans? How are you? Welcome back. So I've been doing a lot of hiking throughout this quarantine in Utah, and I decided to do a review of some of the hikes that I've done, tell you guys about them, tell you my first impressions, how the view was, how difficult it was. So let's get started. Hi guys, so I'm going to do some hiking reviews. I'm going to be rating some of the hikes that I've done here in northern Utah during quarantine. There's 6 hikes I'm going to talk about, and the first one is Waterfall Canyon in Ogden. That one is only like 2.5 miles. It's pretty easy. It's not super steep. It starts out flat, and then you have a little bit of a climb to get to the waterfall. I love this trail. I've grown up on that trail, so it's beautiful and there's water at the top. It's not super difficult and the view is great halfway to the top as well as at the top, so you can see the whole city. Definitely recommend that one. The next hike that I did is Gibs Loop. It's not much of a hike. It's actually just kind of flat, and like in the title, it's a loop. So that one was about 3.1 miles, which is a 5K. Actually, it's flat enough that you can run it. So there's not that many rocks on the trail, which is awesome if you want to run it or if you just don't like walking on rocks. So that one's great. It starts, I would definitely start on the higher side. So it goes between 29th Street and 36th Street. If you start on the lower side, that's 29th, you'll be hiking up most of the way. But if you start on 36th, that's the upper side, you will be hiking down most of the way and just a little bit up to get back to the starting point. I also love that trail because it's a loop, so you start and end in the same place, which is great if you want to get back to your car. There wasn't any water. Oh, there is one stream on Gibs Loop, and the bridge kind of goes over it. It also runs along the golf course, so it's a beautiful view, not too steep at all, super easy. Definitely recommend that one. The next one I want to talk about is Malans Peak. Malans Peak is awesome. It's also here near Ogden. That one was about 4.5 miles. The view was stellar at the top. It was fairly shaded because there's a lot of trees and pine trees and tree growth. So it wasn't too hot. It definitely got steeper towards, I would say like 1/4 of the way in, 2/4 of the way in. It really, all of a sudden it got steep. And that elevation is fairly high, not as tall as Mount Olympus, but higher than the previous hikes I just mentioned. Again, the view was awesome. I would recommend it. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. So it didn't take as much time as I was expecting, but I did take my camelback and snacks to eat at the top. The next one we're going to talk about is Mount Olympus, which is awesome. That one's out in Salt Lake. It's beautiful, but it is such a long hike, and you have to be prepared for it. You actually rock climb in the last section of the hike, which can be exhausting. I took my hiking poles, and I definitely would recommend taking them, not only for the way up, but on the way down. It gives you support when you're going down the steep grades. So that one is like a 7-hour hike. I think you can probably do it in 6. It's about 4 miles, like 3.75. And the elevation is like 4,000 feet, above 4,000 feet. So it gets really steep. My friend actually recommended taking ginger chews for altitude sickness if you get that. I didn't have any problems, but that is a great remedy when you're going on hikes that are high altitude. So I love that hike. Again, it takes a lot of time, so I would start early in the morning because you don't want to be hiking midday during the afternoon when the sun is like beating on you. So the next one is the Weber State University Discovery Loop. This is a really easy one. Hardly any elevation, but still a good view of the city. And it's a loop, so it's great because you start and end in the same spot without having to backtrack on a trail that you've already been on. Unlike the mountains where you go up and come back down the same trail, this one you do a full loop, so the trail is new the entire time. That one was only a mile, but it's great because it shows, you can really see the Wasatch Front on that. And that's the WSU Discovery Loop. And then the last one I want to talk about is one that I just did today. I did take my camelback on all of these hikes just because I like to have water and something to carry some snacks in, or if I find anything that I want to pick up, or if I don't want to have my phone in my pocket. So anyways, Jumpoff Canyon, I had never heard of before. My mom recommended it, so we did that one together. That one was 900 feet elevation. And at first, I mean, the trails were marked pretty well, but we got a little lost because we started doing the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, which runs all the way across the mountain range. So then we had to backtrack a little bit to get back on the trail. We went up the canyon. It was a little bit rocky, and the trail was not well marked. So, but worth it. It was fun. I did have to climb some rocks to get to a viewpoint, and then came back down the canyon, and then it was a loop as well. So you kind of loop around, go up the canyon, come back down, and then finish the loop so that you can start end where you started. So that was a great hike as well. It says it was 2.9 miles, so 3-ish. With our little backtracking cutoff, it was like 3.5 miles. But again, it was an awesome trail, and there was some water because there's a canal halfway on the mountain, which even though it's man-made, it's still beautiful. I love hikes with water. So I also recommend that one. These are the hikes that I've been doing so far during quarantine. They're all in Utah, and they are all beautiful. Some easier ones, some harder ones. I definitely recommend them. And just let me know in the comments below what you think, if you've hiked them before, or if you have any recommendations of ones that I should hike. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you later on.
Of the hikes I've been doing here in southern Utah. Is it southern Utah? Here in northern Utah. Let's start over.